right, welcome back, Pokemon Go players, to another episode of the Purified podcast. Today is November 7th, 2021. I am your host, Luis Palacios, with my co-host, Chris.
Hey, it's your boy Pokemon Trigger, please. How you doing, Lewis?
I'm doing alright. It's been a fun week. It's actually been a fun week for both the game and just in regular, a lot of different things. Keeping the game simple, easy. I can play only here and there anyways when I'm working, but anyways, How about yours?
Yeah. I think this is probably the most I've kind of played, on and off this week. Which is kind of funny, because we're right after the big Halloween bonuses, but we do have some other bonuses going on right now, so I do think it's been a very pleasant time to play. There's a very fun spawn pool right now, too. I love it.
Yeah, I can agree to that, mostly because they, in the end of the day, the Pokemons that are appearing are just fun because of the Festival of Lights event that we're going to be talking about. Just the stars of feelings and things like that. But before we begin, of course, let's not forget to remind everybody that we are part of Professor Network. Make sure to check us out, professornetwork.com/Purified Podcast. Wonderful people, once again, every single time to work with. Don't forget, they always also have a podcast, and they're kind of our boss in the end of the day, but you know what I mean. So, but yeah, that's what it is. So, before we begin, real quick, we're gonna say that there's actually nothing really that important to talk about today. It's been kind of a slow week of news, mostly in part because the news that we had for this week, we kind of already covered a day after the podcast usually comes out, at least in the live stream services. So we already covered that. If you want to listen about how the Festival of Lights is and everything like that, you can go ahead and check out our last podcast. Just because if you want to know like dates and how all the bonuses are. But let's not dwell too much on not having news. We'll talk about some interesting things today for sure. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and recap what we have caught this week. So, Chris, what did you get today or this week?
Let's see. I'm actually not sure.
Ooh.
Okay, shiny and 4-star. Okay, got a little bit, got a tiny bit. I was able to snag a shiny Pidgey.
Ooh.
Always a fun one. And then other than that, I actually had I think it was my first shiny daily spawn. Ooh. And it was a Pikachu. Female Pikachu. I think that's more rare. But, Pikachu's been all over the place. So
yeah, it's been.
I'll take it though.
Definitely an interesting one, mostly because it's kind of been a while since we've actually seen it. Although we have seen too many custom Pikachus in the last, 5 events at this point.
Yeah, I think after I posted it, somebody was like, "Oh, it doesn't have a costume though." Something. I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, no, it is what it is, So that's it. I'm guessing no Hondos.
Yeah, nah. Bunch of 98s. I think my favorite 98 I got was Fennekin. Literally today. But okay. No Hondos ever.
Ever. I actually didn't get that lucky this week either. I will tell you about the story about a shiny that was a tragic shiny for me, but a wonderful one for another. I did go plus a shiny Peachy though, so that's pretty cool. So unless we're getting there. And I did one lucky trade and one regular Rayquaza trade. Which the regular Rayquaza trade wasn't too bad. It actually became a 91, I think. So it's not bad. It's like 13, 15, so it's not a bad one. It's still not the shun that I'm looking for anyways. But you guys also, right? And you guys also saw I did a lucky trade for a Dialga. Now, here's the story when it comes to that. And here's like the tragedy of it. So it was my day off from work, Thursday. It was kind of like overshadowed that day. So I was like, let me go ahead and just go. I had something to do in my regular grind spots or before I actually got there. And I was like, let me just go over there, do a little bit of grinding, just restock on a couple of Pokeballs and things like that I needed for over the week. or the weekend, because usually I don't see that many podcast stops or during the weekend. So I'm in the regular spot in downtown and things like that, and I happened to get invited to a raid. It was from one of the locals, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get in this. So I remember that person that invited me, I have a lucky trait to do, and luckily they were around the area. So I was like, I messaged him. I was like, hey, I'm over here. Can you go ahead and you wanna just go ahead and do that lucky trade or something? He was at work, but I was able to skew over to where he was real quick and then do the lucky trade. So we said we just wanna trade legendaries or shinies or anything. Let's just do, if we can do both, that's great. So we traded a shiny Dialga each. For him, it was the only one, as he stated, in a high IV one, but he wanted to at least see if anything overs, of course. So we go ahead and do the trade. I get a, hold on, let me remind myself here. So this lucky Dialga, shiny Dialga, is a 13, 14, 14. So another 91. Not bad, but of course it's not the Hondo or Shando that I want. Of course, my friend, the local player, got a Shando when he got traded over my Dialga, and I was like, I've been looking. Shlando Dialga, one of the best, if not the best right now, legendary Pokemon to have in anything. So the tragedy was he got the Shando, like Shando or La Shando, I don't know how do you call it. But I of course got the trashy one. So my friend, texted me saying thank you so much, things like that. He doesn't have the extra large candy to max it out. They already maxed out like a 98 somewhere around the line, or 96 on the line. So he kind of like doesn't have the extra large candy right now. But I'm pretty sure that he will. Let me see if it's actually. I know he's not online, but let me see. He hasn't put it as his buddy yet. He is level 50, but that's because he's probably working on something else right now. So again, tragic. Good for him though. I can't say for sure that having that much luck. I mean, it has happened to me before, not on the legendary side, but it has happened at Shando Lucky that I had it before. So still, it was something that I was looking for. Hopefully to get. Beggars can be choosers. It will be another time. I have plenty of Dialgas to trade with, so one of these days.
I'm just trying to get a good IV Dialga from trades. I've traded like 20 of them. They've all been garbage.
I traded mostly my shinies just because I am trying to get that Shando anyways. All the other ones are done. I do have more than enough extra large candies to power up 2. But I don't have the Hondo or the Shando in that regard. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of just like waiting. I could just power up 1 and be good with it. But if I'm going to do that, I might as well just wait for the Hondo to come in first. And then I'll worry about another one later if I need to. Of course, I can always... Sorry?
My opinion on it is always, if you're not going to use it, why power it up?
Right. And unfortunately, Yeah, and unfortunately, Dialga is one of those Pokemons that if you're going to power up, it has to be close to perfect, or as close as perfect you can with lucky buddies or lucky friends or buddies or best friends or whatever the case may be. Just because he's that overpowered in the Master League meta, and having the deficit of maybe one extra charge attack after the other or one extra the Dragon Breath or the other, it could be definite in your matches. So it's kind of one of those things that I want to make sure I get anyway. So too bad, so sad. Congratulations to my friend, of course. But anyways, that is my shiny tragedy of the week, of course. As for Hondos, I believe I have one. I don't know if I talk about this. I did get a Hondo Drowsy. So I'm not Hondoless this week, finally. So I don't know if it's good or not. What do you think, Chris, about Hypno in that regard?
Funny enough, you actually do want the Hondo for Ultra League. He's very well-rounded, just because of all the different punches he can get. Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch. So very good choice. I don't know if you want to grind up all the extra large candy, I do think it's worth it though. If you want to try something fun,
I gotta check how much.
maybe not with Scary Tree. I don't know.
No, no. Scary tree, unfortunately. Let me see. Drowsy. Did I get. So I have 180 extra large candies. If I give it everything else he has, I only have up to 150, so. It's not. Just grinding it out for extra large candy might be a little bit difficult, mostly because we haven't had a Drowsy or daily event in a while, so it's kind of like keeping it out there. Well, actually, we had some with the psychic event a couple months back, but it's been over.
Usually a little bit nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those things in the other day. So my host is nothing to color about when it comes down to it. It's strategies after strategies anyway. So since we are on that note, let's talk about the Festival of Lights. The event has started as of Friday of last week, or this week, no, last week, kind of thing. So what do you think so far, Chris?
I said before, I think the spawns are amazing. It's got something for everything. PvPers, shiny Pokemon all over the place. Just a lot of fun Pokemon, in my opinion, to grind. I'm trying to think. The main ones I've been trying to go after are the shiny ones, of course. Mm-hmm. I've been really trying to grind Magnemite extra large candy. But yeah, I think the Pokemon are great. Just, not seeing the same Pokemon that you see on a normal day makes a big difference because it makes you want to be in the game so you don't miss out. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's been a lot of fun playing these last few days for the Festival of Lights. What has been your favorite parts?
Well, definitely the spawns. Aside from the Swords of Justice having their sacred sword move and everything, which I'm still not too convinced that they're gonna change the meta too much, even if they have those moves anyways. Have you heard anything about those before, or anything about that, Chris?
I really don't think so either, because the most relevant one I would feel like would be Cobalion.
Right.
Arguably Virizion, just because Virizion has a better moveset almost. But Cobalion's typing is just insane.
True. It's kind of like a stronger Lucario, but Lucario has just insane stats too,
Yeah, I think Lucario also benefits because it can get Shadow Ball. So it just covers more than Cobalion in a lot of instances. But time will tell. Cobalion, we've seen him with the move before, so he hasn't really made any huge leaps in PvP.
Right, no huge impacts that we know of, at least.
Yeah, I think Verizion's definitely a funny one, just because it has the accessibility of getting Stone Edge.
Right.
So, you send in a Talonflame, a Charizard against it, you're like, this thing can't touch me. And then you get Stone Edged, and it's like getting focus blasted. It's horrible.
Well, that could be a thing when it comes down to it. Again, I don't see them doing that much waste at the same time, mostly because the Ultra League kind of is ending, and Master League is just really overpowerful legendary Pokemons anyways, so it's kind of like getting to that point anyways. However, it's still a interesting one to get, especially for Terrakion and Virizion, just because they haven't had the moves before. So if you're a collectionist, of course, try and get them. Mine is mostly a one and done. If I get the shiny, cool. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, it's kind of one of those things that you want to do if you want to. I haven't been that excited about raiding since probably Giratina back in race. Even Darkrai was a holdover, because you can get the shiny, you can get a good one, but there's no point because you can't trade them anyways. For the Swords of Justice, there are 3 in the same pool, so it's kind of hard to pick point the ones you want. Of course, remote raiding is a thing, but at the same time, it's kind of like, which one do I go for, or which one do I do, things like that,
Yeah.
I would have been happy enough to actually see a the Algen Pocket return, just because of what we're gonna be getting in the next 2 weeks for the Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl releasing in the next 2 weekends, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
should be
the
12
19th.
days or
It's the
yeah,
19th.
12 days. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah, and I get paid that day, so that's cool. Regardless, it's a fun little thing to just go over, of course. And I was talking, of course, about the spawns. The spawns are actually pretty good. They have some ones that we definitely want to look out for. Definitely, what's the little horsey name again? Blitzel? Yeah, Blitzel.
Yeah, yeah, the little zebra.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Blitzel is back after being a shiny release in as a custom Pokemon. So definitely one to look out for, definitely one to hunt for, just because the shiny is released and now you can evolve it, so you can complete the family. If not, you had already gotten another one from the custom ones anyway. So not too bad, a good one to get. Darumaka is also spawning in the wild, and that's a definite one to hunt for, both for extra large candies and just getting either the shiny or the Hondo for the fire one, anyways. So
Mhm.
definitely one to look out for if you really want to grind out the events a little bit more. Magnemites are also spawning quite often, which I say Magnet Zone is pretty good, depending on this IP spread in different leagues, anyways. So don't sleep on that one. Aside from that, we had just other spawns regularly. Our season of Mischief spawns are still going around. Fennekin and Chespin are also spawning pretty well. Funny enough, I got a 0 IV Fennekin from a random Go Plus encounter.
What the heck?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like the most randomest thing in the world. But I was like, oh, hey, that's 0. Let me just start that. If not, I'll just delete it anyways.
Yeah, it's gonna have a calm day, man.
I know. I do have the Hondo Fennekin already. I'm just waiting for it to come thing anyways. Which at this point is gonna be next year, and they're probably gonna start either at the beginning of the year or during the February months, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
feels like they're following a little bit more of a pattern now that they've kind of got everything back under control, it
correct.
seems like.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, not a bad thing to hunt for and things like that. Again, just keep a lookout for good Pokemons out there. And I mean, even the rays are not like as important. And of course, we do have the introduction of the Dene into the game for the very first time. Cute little Pikachu clone for sure. But it also has the typing of electric and fairy type. So interesting to see to have it in our moveset. He does not max out anywhere close to Ultra League options, but he is good enough in Great League in that regard. So I don't know. Have you had heard anything about the Dene in the last few days, Chris?
Not too much. I do remember I thought it was decent. But yeah, let me check.
I don't even know if the Dene actually gets a fast charge attack or not.
It's currently as 99 for Great League.
Okay,
Um
decent enough.
I'd say
It,
I mean, Thundershock Discharge Play Rough is a pretty decent move set.
right.
I'd say comparatively, that's kind of the closest Pokemon I can think of would probably be Stunfisk.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get Play Rough, so you can hit those Dark types harder. I don't know if Dedenne is as chunky as Stunfisk, though.
Mm.
And the key wins are going to be Azumarill, Medicham, Skarmory, Sableye, and Umbreon, so very relevant Pokemon. But the losses are what really hurts. So it's losing to Galarian Stunfisk, it's losing to Swampert, it's losing to Bastiodon, it's losing to Jellicent. As an electric type, it loses to Jellicent. And it's also got Alolan Ninetales. So in my opinion, if I was, looking at an electric type, I'd rather use Stunfisk instead of Dedenne.
Right. Definitely, it doesn't do well against the meta. It does counter a few, but not enough to make a big impact into the big leagues or anything. It's still, a favorite of anybody if they want to use it or not. That depends on them. So it's not a bad choice if you want to use it. It's just not the greatest when it comes down to it. So keep a
Funny
lookout.
enough, it is ranked higher than Stunfisk.
Okay,
But I mean, I guess it really depends on your team comp.
true.
I think time will tell. I think it's a fun choice. So I mean, if you want to use it, by all means. But yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
Right,
Probably.
right. I mean, then it has been like I said, a fan favorite for a while. Just
Wait,
not enough. What's up?
wait. There is a reason to use it.
Wow.
Mandibuzz counter. Oh my gosh.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Mandibuzz.
I can see that happening as an electric type. So, good luck if you ever want to use it. Still, so it's not making the big waves like another ghost type Pokemon we know about. So,
No, it's no scary tree.
not scary tree. Hilarious. Have you actually encountered any scary trees since the event?
I've encountered a few in Ultra League, and let me tell you, they didn't like my old team of they really didn't like my old team of Articuno, Altered Form Giratina, and Talonflame. So every single time they'd be like, they can't get me, man. And then they'd see either Articuno or Talonflame come out, and they'd be screaming, man.
Oh,
It was fun.
I love when
Oh my
Talonflame
gosh.
I can just go ahead and do damage anyways. So I'm
Dude,
happy.
with a shield advantage, he just like takes their whole supply of health. I don't. He's just very merciless with a shield advantage.
Yeah, shout out to Summertime Love in here. Anyhow, so yeah, again, Festival of Lights, not a bad event. It's technically not gonna be over for another 7-ish days, I think. 6 days. 7 technically. So we still had a little bit of time until then. I think that we'll hold over to the release of Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl and the collaboration that we'll have. I don't think after the event ends that we have anything to hold over that, but we'll definitely have news about it by next week, most likely, just because we're getting closer and closer to the date release. So it is what it is. It will be cool if they just go ahead and release Kecleon. But anyways, that's Gen 3 anyway, so what's the difference?
Yeah. If it was a Gen 3 remake, I'd be all for it. But I mean, like, they need to release it sooner or later.
Well, Kecleon is one thing. Maybe Manaphy will be nice.
Yes.
Manaphy.
I mean, it's not like it's really good for anything, so.
True, but in
That'd be
Gen
cool.
4, the only ones that we definitely don't have yet are just the Manaphy line. Once we have the Manaphy line, we will complete Gen 4 Pokédex for the very first time.
Well.
Keeping over, of course, Gen 3s, but... Wait, it's not... Arceus is not Gen 4 then, right?
No, he is.
Then how come
Is
he's
he
not
at the
in
end
it?
of the Pokédex?
No, he's... I guess it's Manaphy and Arceus? But Manaphy has 2 lines, right?
He might be after Darkrai.
No, there's no Pokemon X entry for Arceus in there. Hold on. am I going wrong about this? Arceus Pokédex.
Yeah, he's 493. I think Darkrai's 492. Or at least in the National Dex. I don't know.
National Dex is 493. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
91, 92. Wait.
Well, that's interesting, because
49,
Victini's 494.
Right. And we in Darkrai is
Oh,
491.
yeah, no, that works. That works.
So what are we missing? Shaman?
So he's just after Darkrai. That's legit.
Wait, but Shaman is Gen 4 too, right?
Yes. Interesting. 491.
Okay, so I know
so Shaman's 492.
Yeah, that makes sense. So 489 is the Manaphy line, which we either will get it eventually or we'll have it in the next Go Fest for some reason. But that means that Arceus is also after that, and then Shaman. Well, Shaman can also be that. I don't know. I hope that they actually do something cool, so we actually able to get either one of the mythical legendaries. Anyways, uh,
Something, yeah.
I know because we have what 3 mythical legendaries in Gen 4 that we don't have yet.
Dude, they
Between
just loaded up Gen 4 with the legendaries too, to be honest.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like where are our correlations to it now? We could be already predicting the future because we don't know what might happen in the next few days. Once we get the information about the collaboration, we'll definitely have some interesting stuff to talk about. But now we know, and they haven't really coded either Shaming or Arceus into the game at this point because if their Pokédex entries are not there, then we definitely won't get them anytime soon.
Yeah.
So some to look out for, or some information to look forward to. So we'll see. Anyways, we're getting a little sidetracked. Again, we'll hope to see that. Let me hatch this egg and hopefully get something good. Come on, something. Okay, Geodude. I love on Geodude for that regard.
Sup, dude?
Sad dude. Hey, at least that put me over the mark there. Also had something else. Chinchou. Yeah, I probably hatched that Chinchou. Anyways, let's go ahead and go to our research topics of the day. We don't have any news this week because we just covered everything last week anyway. So instead of news, I want to actually talk about the current state of the game. How is it feeling for everybody? How is it going? How like the content creators and how the game is at the moment for everybody. So first and foremost, we talked about last week how some of the content creators have moved on from Pokemon Go, at least the big dogs. We just saw Mystic 7 is going to be taking a break from content creation for a while just because he's in that mindset that he needs to rest and recharge before he can go back to being himself again. So wishes to him, of course, if he wants to take up as much as you need to. If you can come back stronger than ever, we'll always be ready here for the community for you. So yeah, good luck to Mystic 7 when it comes down to it. And again, a lot of the content creation out there has been kind of slowed down in the Go community just because after a while we just think that the game has gotten a little bit of stale. I myself included have felt that all we're doing is just doing the same thing over and over and over again between events and legendaries and all these things that the game is throwing at us every single week. They're definitely amped up the whole custom Pokemons, and we're definitely going to see that in the next event too. So it's not that we don't have content to talk about, but I feel like the game itself has gotten a little too repetitive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This. And it's just
that's exactly the word I was gonna use.
yeah. So it's kind of like I want to play the game. I'm still going to play the game. That's not the problem. The problem is how excited about the things that I'm showing to. I haven't really done that much as part of a community, mostly because I still feel like it's not safe to go out. But at the same time, as much I do want to see everybody. I want to talk to content creators. I want to meet up or go to places that I have never been to before. Unfortunately, the end of the year now, it's almost here. Less than 2 months before the next year, 2022, and I'm sure Niantic has a big thing to cover us over for sure. But at the same time, I'm more like, I want to return to those big time events where everybody was happy. And Philadelphia was one that I could have gone to, but the timing was just not right.
It just didn't give us enough
Heads up.
warning, I would say, yeah.
If they would have given us maybe a close to a month warning, I would have been able to change everything over and to get my ticket and fly over there and get ready for the event. I mean, I wouldn't have mind spending a little bit of time, but it was just too late for me because everything was already set in motion for the rest of the year. And I can't really change over, especially for work, can't really change over what I do. And now I'm stuck at work for the rest of the year. As it is, so... anyways, that's my things about it. We'll definitely talk about a little bit more about how the state of the game is, but I want to also give Chris a little bit of talk about what he feels, what he thinks about the game so far.
Yeah, I see a lot of potential still in the game. a lot of eyes were looking at the Go Battle League, a competitive side of Pokemon Go. I still think it has a lot of things it needs to rework. It almost feels like whenever they fix one problem, two more pop up. I know handling a game is a lot of work. I know I have no idea how troublesome it is. When you got millions of people going through, every day. I really am hoping they can figure something out to make the game more dependable when it comes to battles, because I feel like they would have a very strong hold on a very large community. There's a lot of people that are already passionate about the PvP aspect of Pokemon Go. So if they fix all the issues in the background, all the technical sides of it, I feel like they wouldn't have any problems getting a very large following of people to play competitively.
Right.
And they're trying to make steps. Like they invited everyone that hit. It's a little bit weird the way it's worded, but they're inviting people that hit legend to do a it almost seems like a tournament in the future, and people aren't really sure if they mean if you ever got legend in the past or if it's just this season. I'm pretty much thinking it's just this season. But yeah, I want them to succeed and do all this, but they really need to fix all the lag, all the desync, just a lot of things. I feel like, because I don't know, it's just not fun when you lose the game because of the game.
Right.
Like I definitely understand why people get pretty burnout from Go Battle League, me included.
Yeah. So you're more into the competitive side of the game right now that needs a little bit more fixing to see it in a grander stage, which it will be. We just hope that there's enough ruling when it comes to the bugs and fixes that you are actually expecting to see in those moments. I just hope, just like you are, that they figure that out pretty soon, mostly because 2022 is just around the corner. April literally will come and go before we know it. At that point, we hope to see the game a more stable game for the competitive side. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about, really. We know Pokemon Go is long for this world because it keeps on growing, it keeps on thinking. Even if we run out of Pokemons, even if we run out of shinies, and even if we run out of content to see every single year, the game's longevity comes because of all the competitiveness that Chris has mentioned. Because it has been announced in the world stage and things like that, we know that it can go the distance. A few more years down the line, we don't know how many more, but it's definitely has taken over because it's still a big hit. Something that a lot of the companies have been trying to recreate, but never gets to that point. And for example, Niantic had other games and has other games that they look over to, plus new games coming out in the near future. One of them, of course, being Wizards Unite. And unfortunately,
Wizards Unite.
Unfortunately for the Wizards Unite community, they have just now stated that the game will be shutting down as of next year. So it's kind of sad to see, mostly because it seemed like a good game made by the same company that we all love this game for. Fortunately, it just wasn't enough. There were a lot of different comparisons when it comes down to both Wizards Unite and Pokemon Go. Then don't get me wrong, it's a fun game. You gotta get used to it, definitely. And the fan base is definitely there for people who like the series, no? But it's not the same. It cannot be the same as, comparing to something to Pokemon Go, because Pokemon Go is an exploration, catch anything or anything out there in the real world. Wizards Unite was trying to mimic that almost the same, but it just wasn't holding over at the end of the day. Now, of course, that might not have been the only reason. Other reasons, of course, could be either the longevity of how much more they can actually put into the game, or definitely the income coming in into the game itself. So sad to see, because I do see a passionate community for the Wizards Unite people, but again, that's how usually a game can come and go. And even people on Twitter that are mostly Pokemon Go or Pokemon centered community has stated, they said this game is understandable to have come and go the way that it is, and it shows that a game doesn't last forever. Even Pokemon Go will meet its end at some point, unless the longevity comes. I'm not saying it's gonna be today. I'm not saying it's gonna be tomorrow. I'm not saying that it's definitely another year or so in that regard. But overall, it'll be something that we'll have to prepare for the future. Not anytime soon, but definitely down the line when it comes down to it. So, however much you put into the game or however much you grind into the game will not matter once you get to that point. Now, I'm sure that Niantic and the Pokemon Company will think of some way to keep such a good record of the game that we have loved over the years. So, one of the things that I talked about with PB Poke, I'm not PB Poke, I'm sorry, Pope Dave, is that they will give us the chance to maybe transfer all our shinies, all our hundos, and all the Pokemon that we had caught and grown over the years to Pokemon Home, because we have that ability to do. However, we have such a limited system because you can't send everything at once. When the game comes to a close, if it comes to a close, then I'm sure they give us the ability to transfer all of that regardless of how much energy or power you have over the game. So that's my little thoughts when it comes down to it. It's always in the back of my mind, because I understand I grind this game. I put money into this game and I'm addicted to this game. So I definitely want to see more of that longevity. And I do believe there's more thanks to the competitive side of what Pokemon can really truly become, as long as the creators, Niantic, can really do something about it when the time comes.
Yeah, I feel like Niantic's been very smart about how they've done Pokemon, even though I'm not a big fan of it. Of trickling in shinies, trickling in Pokemon, having events all the time. So it doesn't feel like nothing is happening in the game. But it is, in my opinion, it is very annoying that every Pokemon can't be shiny yet.
Right.
So, you buy a game of Pokemon Sapphire, Pokemon Black, you play that game, every single Pokemon can be shiny, basically, if it is not shiny locked. Right. But if it's shiny locked, it's shiny locked, because, there's people online that will say, yeah, this Pokemon shiny locked. Niantic, it's funny, you wouldn't know it was shiny locked until the community was like, yeah, that Pokemon can't be shiny yet.
Right. Yeah.
No. So I don't know. I find that kind of annoying, but it is smart for them to have something to release later on, so you got something to look forward to down the line.
Sure.
Definitely makes sense.
Well, over the years, we have learned that as much as we want every single Pokemon release, and we have experienced that in the first 2 years of the game, it's just too soon to release everything at once. After the second generation fiasco of literally being able to catch every single Pokemon unless it was like an unknown or something, still it wasn't that optimal, because at the time we had spoofers and cheaters and things like that they can just literally get the Pokemons in 24 hours or in less than 24 hours if they wanted to anyway. So they learned their mistakes, and they learned that there's not that much of that longevity if they release all the Pokemon at once. Now, that also comes with some pros and cons. The pro was that, of course, they release everything in waves, which I'm totally okay with. Mostly because we want to experience this game a little bit more in that sense and not have to get everything at once when it comes down to it. However, it also comes with the decision that some Pokemons are not going to be releasing anytime soon, and some people have favorites. When it comes to Gen 5, I mean, we're skipping over Gen 3 Kelkilion because at the end of the day, that's got to be a meme of its own when it comes out. Um, when it comes down to it, Gen 5 has had some Pokemons that haven't been released yet. Probably due because of the pandemic, but at the same time, it's something that I'm waiting for. Larvesta is a Pokemon that I'm definitely waiting on. And its evolution Volcarona. We definitely have, I don't know, what else do we have Gen 5 missing? Let me check real quick here. We mostly have most of the base set of Pokemons from Gen 5, but we're still missing. Truth be told, we're actually almost done with Gen 5. A little bit of mythicals and legendaries, I think that's all we need. And Volcarona. Give me Volcarona. Please give me Volcarona.
That's a cool Pokemon.
I know, right? But yeah, when it comes down to it, that's what we're waiting for and things like that. At the same time, Gen 6 has been out for a good year now, and we still don't see much of everything coming out of Gen 6 anytime soon, aside from community days and other things that come around. So it's kind of like interesting what they're planning now. Niantic has definitely a plan set base for a lot of the releases, either correlating with the Pokemon Company, the main series games, or something else that they're planning to do in the future. But change something over. It's like the events have been getting that stale, that repetitive, because all we're waiting is for either a new shiny to come out or a new Pokemon to come out, and if it's good in PvP or not, then we hunt it or not. If not, then what's the point? So
yeah, one and done.
One and done, basically, yeah. So it's kind of like I understand the reasoning, and now I see why they're waiting so long to release so many Pokemons anyways, but at the same time, make the events a little bit more presentable than just the same thing over and over again. Now, they are changing the formula a little bit. I want to talk about, of course, the I can't even say the word. The special research. Misunderstood mischief. Now, that was new. Of course, a little bit annoying because you don't get to finish it that right away. However, we did get over the months something to look forward to. So that way, by the time we get there, and they have stated to make sure to finish the research as much as possible before the full event start, or the full event at the end of this month starts, because if you do not finish it or you're not close to unlocking that other special research that's going to come at the end of the month, you're going to have to pay for it. And it's like a $4.99 payment to get that research and be able to do it. But you can still do it for free. And that's what all, if not everybody, wants, instead of paying over a research that you're going to basically get a new Pokemon for. So I seen the new things. I like them, but I feel like there could be more in that sense, if you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's presented to us. That's what we're using. That's what hopefully the future will hold when it comes down to it. And, Pokemon Go is not the only thing that we do, but it is something that this podcast definitely wants to continue having as content creators out there for the Pokemon Go community. So hopefully our longevity stays the same for future dates. I don't know what else to say at this point. So yeah, that's my train of thoughts. Now, I want to hear from you guys. If you guys want to go to our Twitters, go to the emails. We have them open for anybody to send us anything. If you are burned out of the game, if you are expecting something to change, if you want to see something to change, let us know. We are always want to talk over the things that other people have. We want more insights. Unfortunately, Chris and I, we only have two minds, two different perspectives in the game. So we only can show so much if the perspective of other people are out there too. So send us anything. Send us all the information that you want to say. We'll talk over it in the podcast if we can. So we're waiting. We're here. Let's talk it over. Let's do it, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you can't find our ats, because of you guys can't see the visual. just use hashtag Purified or something on Twitter, and maybe I'll take a peek to see if we see anything.
I do have hashtag Purified Podcasts every
Okay,
time I
yeah,
tweet
that
something
works.
out, so that works out. I know there's something else out there. There's also a Purified thing podcast. Luckily, I have the rights to the purifiedpodcast.com, so that doesn't change over. So I have the website, I have the rights, so I know that longevity. So I am definitely TM on myself. So, but yeah. So again, just keep on a lookout. Definitely interact with us. We would love to hear from you guys as much as possible, even if it's just to talk over anything. So anyhow, anyways, Chris, I guess we talked and rant for long enough. How about we talk some PvP? Get good, get wrecked. Here we go.
All right, all right. Are we talking? We talking GBL? We talking GBL? Is that what we're talking?
Well, I can say for sure that I have not done any GBL, even if I'm supposed to be grinding out to level 50. I need to get to rank 10 for my achievements, which it's really easy. That's why I'm not too afraid over it. And I don't have the experience to cover it, so I know I can wait. Once I get the experience or getting close to that experience, I definitely think that I need to get to level 10 as soon as possible, or I'm sorry, to rank 10 as soon as possible. However, for me, I still like GVL. I still like all the PvP's competitive side of things. It's just it gets to the point it gets a little bit grindier and a little too much for me. I definitely feel like my way of taking part of it is a little too much for me to get a burnout pretty quickly. So I'm gonna try to pace myself as much as I can, not to reach the very best. I do want to hit Legends. I would be a dream to hit Legends and just get that custom Pikachu. If anything, the shiny Pikachu. But
that pose is crazy this year too, or this season.
Right, and I'm sure that missing out on a lot of different poses in the last 9 seasons have been kind of like wary in that sense. But I do think that maybe one day they'll let us receive it again in some same change form. But that's not the point. The point is trying to do the best. I want to give more feedback when it comes to GBL and things like that if I ever see it. But I don't want to burn myself out to the point where I'm doing it every day or I'm doing it every time and I'm grinding as much as hard as I can. I just want to be done and be good to be able to talk to you guys about it. So at the same time, Chris, what's your intake on GBL these days?
What I would recommend is if you do all 5 sets, that's kind of gonna burn you out,
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, if you do a 2-3 or even 0-5, you're gonna go down. So you don't have to do every set, especially if you feel like you're on a losing streak. So don't feel bad about not getting all the sets done. I would recommend if you're trying to go up in rank, especially if you're not at the part where they're ranking your MMR. I would say do at least 1 set a day.
Okay.
Just so you're getting something done. That is what I would recommend.
Okay. Okay, I like
and
that
also don't forget, you can start in quotation marks a battle and then exit out of it and keep a set for tomorrow. So for some reason you get bored, you got extra time on your hands, you can get 6 sets done in one day if you're you got nothing else to do, no Pokemon are spawning, you want to do PvP battles. That might be the day you get that extra push in GBL. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, I do see that. Just getting my butt off of it is going to be a little bit difficult, but I definitely feel like I want to actually give more insight when it comes to the GPL mechanics and experience what everybody's experienced, if it's lag or anything else when it comes down to it. But I mean, my feedback, it's one of many, and for the podcast, I definitely want to get to that point. That's why Chris is here to also give out the other side of the point when it comes down to it. So take it away. What else you got for me on GBL these days? Do you see anything that you have noticed?
Currently I'm sitting 2742 right under expert.
That's not bad.
And
that's good.
I don't know. There hasn't been too much. going on. I will say the teams are pretty much always going to be around the same. Uh, like when you're battling, you're not going to usually see a very spicy pick.
Right.
Once you get past a certain point, you're not going to see something too crazy. And you're going to lose to the odd Pokemon here and there. It happens. But I don't know. A lot of times, if you're looking at PvPoke or you know you're looking at Pokemon that are very scary, Talonflame, Giratina Altered, Obstagoon, you're gonna see them. You're gonna see Cresselia in just open Ultra League. It's a rule. You have to see those Pokemon. Um, so I would say just make sure you got an answer for pretty much every Pokemon. And if you don't notice yourself seeing a lot of Pokemon, don't even pretend they don't exist. Because you're not going to see them.
I definitely do think that we can probably have somebody's more professional opinion in the matter because they are the ones that grind out the game. I'll try to see if I can communicate with some of the content creators out there and see if I can get anybody to come into the podcast. I'm not expecting anything just because I hope that either somebody finally stumble about our podcast or not, but I'll definitely introduce myself to see if anybody wants to get a quick view on how PvP can go beyond our own initial thoughts. We can say everything about what's good, what's bad, what PvPoke says, what we see, and things like that. But I want to actually see more into the insights of what is PvP in Pokemon Go. We know that there's turns, there's DPS, there's movesets and things like that sometimes we glance over just because we feel like it's kind of stated, and we have learned that over the time that we have played GBL or PvP in general. But I don't think we actually completely has given that sense to our community and our podcast in general. So we had some guests, we had people come over, and we had people talk about it. But again, most of the time, it's already an stated fact. So if I can get anybody from the more technical side of the game where it comes to the insights of how PvP really works, and maybe show how people can, or show our community how it can actually take over more than just the simple tap, 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 swipe, swipe, swipe kind of thing, or even just the simple rock, paper, scissors that we see every day in Pokemon, in PvP mechanics. Maybe that's something that I'm going to promise you guys to get with due time, of course, since I'm going to try to see if I can spend our reach out there with other content creators out there, or even just other, more, less of content creation, but more of the technical side of the game. So I like that. I like that idea. I feel like I should promise myself to do that eventually if I get to that point.
I do think that would also help us, to be honest.
True.
Try to reach for those higher ranks. Yeah,
I agree. So keep a lookout. And again, our social medias will definitely tell you what we can and can't do, what we can actually achieve in that regard. So, whew. All right. So with that being said, GBL, I think Master League should be coming up pretty soon again, right?
Yes, I don't know how soon, to be honest. I don't keep up too. I don't keep up too much with the Go Battle League news. I do remember we mentioned it in an earlier podcast, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not written in my calendar.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely think that it's coming out either pretty soon or in the next week, I best. At the same time, we forgot to mention that we do have our special community choice cup for the next week of GBL alongside Master League and whatever other Master League Premier we have, I guess.
Thank God.
And that is the Kanto Cup. We do have the people have spoken, the community has spoken, and Kanto Cup is our choice of the matter for the next special cup that we're gonna have. So not too bad. The last time we usually have Kanto Cup is when we just want to relax and just play the game because we want to and not because we have to. So Definitely.
It's just easier for me too, so I don't have to build a Master League Pokemon.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's
Although
just me though.
I like Master League a little bit more than you do, anyway. So,
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. So I don't mind either way. I definitely never think I played a Kanto Cup just yet. I do know of some very interesting Pokemons in the meta, but just not enough for me to gloss over because Master League has always been my cup of choice and cup of tea in that regard. So,
All I can say about Kanto Cup, use everything except Kanto Pokemon. Just
wait.
Alolan, Galarian.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
forgot.
they all work.
Uh,
It's so funny.
Definitely, definitely. All right. With that being said, we have one more thing to talk about in the PvP section, and that is the factions
Yeah.
update.
Let's just say the first matchups weren't great. I'm pretty happy with how I played. Um, I was able to get a 2-1 versus them.
All right.
One of the battles was just really tricky to work around, so I wasn't able to pull it out. But yeah, we are already 6-12 versus them. So the best we can do is a 9-12. So they definitely pulled off this bout. But it looks like, and I'm not sure if this is true, it almost looks like we actually did get into a higher tier because we noticed a few people that were supposed to be in higher tiers, and it's almost making me wonder if we got like an announced promotion.
Oh,
But yeah, I'll let you guys know if we figure that out at all.
all
But
right.
I don't know. It's definitely a fun bout though. So I am very excited.
Cool. Rough start, but I'm sure you can pick up the slack afterwards. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to the next battles.
Good, good. So we'll keep us updated just like any other week until we take a break. But anyways, well, yeah, that's. I think that's everything that we have to cover for today. Again, not much news, but we did want to state much of what the current game is about. So, again, guys, it's all about just perspective. We definitely would love this game to continue on as much as forever, hopefully. But you know, all things usually come to an end, if not just good business, I guess. So, but yeah. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. If you're here on the podcast during our live stream, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, it's more like as long as somebody out there is listening, even if you're not chatting in the chat or anything like that, we'd really appreciate it. We are actually just made a threshold of 4,500 downloads in our podcast services feeds. So again, thank you so much. Just happy that at least somebody or some people are out there listening to us as much as possible to that, you know, keeps us alive and in just making more content every single week. So thank you as always. And again, you can always listen to us in any of their podcast feeds services between Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all those places to go. And if you can leave us a review, we would greatly appreciate it. It helps a ton for discovery and things like that. You can always talk to us or tweet at us on our social media. Myself at Pure Let It Go, and then Chris at PKMN Trigger, please. And you can always email us. Again, guys, I'm always expecting any emails from you guys at the Purified Podcast at gmail.com. And don't forget to check us out at the purifiedpodcast.com, the Professor Network. So once again, thank you so much. And I guess, Chris, you can take us away for the night.
All right. I think we have a lot going on in Pokemon. We got a lot to look forward to in the future of Pokemon Go. Let us know how you're feeling with the current state and what you have to look forward to. Yeah. Hope you guys have a fantastic time, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Keep purifying them. We'll see you guys next time.